Welcome to the podcast. So, this one today is going to be a fun one. So, we have gotten comments here and there, and so just responding to this made us look at Guinness World Records related to sex.
The sex
And
category.
this-
So this one was fun to write. It was fun to talk about, fun to read through. So every once in a while, we just like to loosen up a little bit.
Yeah, well, and guys, I can only imagine the comments with this one.
Yeah.
And so the first one on the list is biggest penis. So just guess right now in your head, because
What do you think it is?
What do you think it is? So, and again, not an average, because
We get asked all the time is what's the average size? Well, this is not average, boys. This
No.
is the biggest. This is
Yes.
the competition.
I had not seen any pictures of this. Have you seen any pictures?
I
of
have
this?
not, because it's interesting because it's actually two men that are listed. So it's not a single person with the largest. It depends on how we want to go. Is it the largest with or without function?
Well, and maybe circumcision too, something along
Yes.
those lines. So if we're talking about maybe sagging skin over time, I don't know. Like, again, I didn't have an age with them. I didn't see a picture, whether there's some sagging of this uncircumcised skin. That we don't know, but there is a debate between two men.
Yep.
Again, men, maybe it's between more and you just didn't know this competition existed, because
Maybe you want to enroll next year.
you guys do like to compete for sure. So life is a competition. And so again, I would say that if you don't know about it and you happen to be in the range of 13.5 for one
To 19
to
inches.
19, that's a big difference. So that's
That's
where
huge.
we're saying if that's a debate and there's a 6-inch difference, where is that
Where does that
difference?
come from?
Yeah.
So
So
the
that-
first one is a New Yorker. Mr. Falcon, while erect, he is 13.5 inches. So to
Everything's
me,
big in New York. Everything.
It is the Big Apple.
It is the Big Apple. So
So he's the first one. The second one is Mr. Roberto Cabrera. Sorry if I'm pronouncing that wrong, Mr. Roberto, but he is at 19 inches. But the debate is that he can't use his. So does he really count? Should he count if it's not functional?
yes. Well, I can't wait to hear the feedback, because I'm sure there's some facts that we're gonna get.
Kick back to us, I'm sure.
We're gonna get some facts.
Can't wait to read them.
Whether that is a real, but 19 and even 13 seems
Excessive.
excessive.
That's
so,
Dirt Diggler.
So we are gonna go further, because I think I need to see images of this. So I'm gonna look that up. And again, if that circumcision as a 6-inch change, is that
Well,
like
because there was a little
gravity?
note to
Is
the
that-
side, and it said that if Mr. Cabrera was circumcised, then he would be able to have function. But he refuses to get circumcised because he doesn't want to give up his title. He wants to have the largest.
So if he got circumcised, he would have function?
That's what it said in the little side note.
He
So
can't use his member. Did it say that? in
yeah, it
the
actually
side note
did.
too?
It did.
So again, she does keep me entertained for sure. So he doesn't want to,
He doesn't want to get out. He doesn't want to give away his title.
which is
The biggest.
the biggest dick in the world.
Yeah, that would be it. Boys will be boys.
All right. Well, again, and that's in size, that is, guys. So, all right. Well, that was interesting. I am going to look at images for that. We may actually circle back to that, so that we can at least confirm.
Confirm.
Yeah.
So now we're going to move on to vaginas.
Erection evaluator. Yeah. So,
Put up your
yes.
scale.
What's the scale? How big? Second one is strongest vagina.
And the record holder is from 2009. Do you want to go ahead and try to pronounce that?
Well, no.
Tatiana. That's her first
Tatiana.
name, and I'm not even going to try.
Coach and Vika Iova, something like that. So
go.
anyhow, it's long, but 2009, and she lifted a whopping
31 pounds.
31 pounds.
She is a weightlifter, a vaginal weightlifter. She said that,
And that
she
is somewhat a thing. I've been seeing a lot more of that on.
so they like Kegel an egg
Mhm.
with weight attached to it and then lift.
Mhm.
And she said it took her 20 years of Kegeling in practice to be able to lift 31 pounds.
So I think
That's a
that
commitment.
one of like my favorite kind of social media that I
yeah.
follow is
I already know where this is going, guys.
Kaminami, like and she talks about vaginal weightlifting as well, and she's quite entertaining. So, but again, I don't know what weights we're talking about, how much, but this one is 31 pounds, and that's quite impressive. So, but it did take her 20 years of Kegel exercises to get there.
Like I said, that's a commitment.
That's a commitment. But again, we do have a V-tone that stimulates the pelvic floor and is EMS to the pelvic floor. So maybe, and it's like Kegels on steroids. So maybe you could get there in
Maybe
less
you
than
can
20
do
years.
vaginal weightlifting too.
Actually,
In half the time.
I should say that Faraday is in a like we're in a competition in lots of different areas, but not for that one.
No,
She
I'm
way
good.
outdoes me. in
You
that
win.
one.
I'll
No,
just
you
give
win.
it. Well, I would
You
just
win in
give it
that
to
one.
you.
You win in that one because we are like when it talks about going up to the maximum energy is 50, and I'm nowhere near it. But this one over here, she is.
Gotta
So.
take your titles where you can get them.
I know, I know. So basically, I can't compete with her in the V-tone area. But again, maybe that'll get you less than
Yeah, I'm gonna
20
go ahead and
years.
pass on the weightlifting
You're going to,
competitions.
yeah. So then, so we talk about penis fractures. And so, that is something I would see in the ER occasionally. And every single time I even think about how that happens from it, again, it's painful. Like it seems
Like it would be.
yes, I don't
not
even.
Painful for the woman, but very painful for the man.
Yeah, no, just the thought of it alone. But what is the most, and it's not an uncommon thing, it's not an everyday occurrence, but it does happen. And what's the most dangerous sex position?
Are you guys thinking about it? What's your pick? Was it the reverse cowgirl? If that was your answer, you are correct.
Yes, yeah, correct. I think that I've always heard on top. I don't know that I've heard it any other way. In practice, like when I was in the ER, not practicing myself, but when I was in the ER. But reverse cowgirl, I didn't know that one until this. So,
Well, in a study by the Advances in Urology, they found in their data that more than half of the fractures came from the reverse cowgirl position.
yeah, that's impressive. And
So, what is a broken or fractured penis? So we get that. I've been asked that by my friends. They're like, can that really happen? Can a guy really break his penis? Well, you can.
you can. So you have the tunica albuginea, which is around the outside of the corpus cavernosum,
Which is the two cavities that fill. It's spongy material that fills with blood, which gets men erect.
And so that tunica is basically fractured when that happens. And so that is, again, the outside fibrous. You have smooth muscle there as well, but then you have the fibrous lining. And so that is fractured when you have the penile fracture. And it's ruptured, yes. So, and again, I think that just be cautious if you're doing the reverse cowgirl and it happens to be one of your favorites. Just be a little more cautious, or
be aware,
or warn them. Maybe guide.
There can be dire side effects.
Maybe guide that a little better. So anyhow, so this one was interesting. Biggest orgy. So this one's impressive.
This has actually occurred in Japan. And it was 250 men and women that were having sex at the same time in the same place. And it was an event created just to beat the world record.
Be the world's largest orgy.
Yeah. That was an accomplishment
combining
for them.
Lots of happy endings in one place, right? So,
that's it. So it did say that everybody was tested for STDs because, safety first. But one slipped in. That's a lot of people to test. Somebody slipped past that.
Well, I don't think that you can fully, again, there's like that, that period of time where maybe you wouldn't test positive too. So that's just, and assuming, but again, it's not something we verified, and we won't be verifying this one with anything. But it's
at
not
least
something,
they tried to be safe.
They tried to be safe, but they also choreographed it. So basically, it was choreographed, and they were all having sex at the same position, same rhythm, timing. So that's impressive. I mean,
that's a feat.
it
To get
almost
250 people to do the same thing at the same time.
it does almost make me want to look it up, and I may. But if
I'm
I
sure
do,
there's a
I'll
video
comment
out there
back.
for you,
Yeah.
Dr. Durst, if you
Yeah,
really want to
yeah.
see it.
Well, somebody will probably send us the link for that. So if you guys have found that, you have any interesting comments, of course, share them. And then the next one.
Now, we did a whole podcast on the sexual response cycle, and this is kind of ties into that a little bit. It is the most.
Girl, we've done so many. We've done one on like different types of orgasms, which would fall into this too.
Oh yeah, that would too. But the sexual response cycle is actually really
14 to
interesting.
be specific, yes. But the sexual response one is very
That one's
interesting.
That one's a really interesting one, which we probably need to do another updated one on that.
Yeah.
But in 1966, think about that, 1966. The Center for Marital and Sexual Studies in California said that a woman enjoyed 134 orgasms in 1 hour.
Yeah.
That's a lot of orgasms in 1 hour.
So they were measuring stuff. We'll just say, like on
They were measuring
our
things.
podcast, they were measuring lots of things.
They're doing lots of measurements.
They didn't find John and Roberto, but they were
They
measuring
did not find
lots-
them.
They were measuring some things. So basically, that podcast, and I would refer you back, and we probably will do an updated version because we had a ton of fun with it, but like 1966, otherwise you wouldn't get away with it. But there was a gynecologist that hired a female assistant, and they then watched, videoed, and did all kinds of
And measured
Measured.
with probes,
all kinds of things.
orgasm strength, the
Yeah.
response cycle, what happens. The sexual response cycle is actually pretty interesting.
It is.
But to think in 1966
that you
that
could
this was
hire
occurring.
so that you could be a doctor or hire an assistant, tape and video and measure and record contractions related to sex and orgasms. But not only then they ended up having an affair and getting married, and it was quietly done at a university, and then they were coming out with the sexual response book, and whether that was going to be a big controversy or not, it ended up being a bestseller. That would not happen in 2023, I'm just saying.
No.
But so I would recommend that you listen to it because it's an interesting podcast. But 134 orgasms in 1 hour.
We should have ended with that one, but we have one more. But I
Yeah.
feel like that was like the big one.
There's actually two more,
Oh,
but
is
I
there?
think you should actually end
Oh.
with the next one last.
Okay.
And then, so the one of the other ones, and it's a weightlifting one again, was with the nipple. It was a man, and it was the
Baron.
most, the Baron from Finland at Bush Hall in Finland. I don't know what that means, but anyhow, but it was recent. I mean, it was not long ago, 10 years ago, 2013. Lifted 71 pounds with his nipple.
That sounds painful.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing about that sounds good or fun.
No, the Baron definitely had
The
something.
Baron's a beast.
The Baron's a beast. And he had something sagging after that was definitely.
Things were hanging
Yeah.
in the wrong place.
No, correct. So that's an interesting one for sure. But the last one we're going to end with, and I was blown away with this, largest titty.
Otherwise known as breast size. It is 102 ZZZ.
I'm just reading what Faraday had put on the sheet. Like, that's all. Like,
Well,
she was
not
dumbing
everything
it
I
down
write
for me.
should be read
I
verbatim.
know. Well, no, I wanted to read that one verbatim because it wasn't like largest breast size. It was the largest titty. And so I had
Prep work.
to read it. Yeah.
So
102. It's a license plate for sure.
you would think, but this is natural, largest natural breast in the world. And that is Annie Hawkins. Congratulations, girl. That is, I can't even imagine. She must have back issues.
You got to say what it is.
What?
Did
It's
you
the
say?
record, yeah. 102
102
ZZ. Is that 3 Z's or 4? That's
That's
3.
three.
102 ZZZ.
Yeah. Yeah,
Crazy.
you had to say that. No, yeah, that's huge. You got to have back problems. You got to have lots of problems.
You gotta have
there,
lots of,
yeah.
I mean, that's so
Yeah.
large.
So, and if you guys can come up with any other ones, these are the first ones we pulled, and we're going to probably see if there's more. And then we need to confirm some facts because that first one, I must say, does have me
It's the
curious.
Guinness World Record. That is like legit, right?
But how do you get a 6-inch difference and it still be a debate?
And it'd be
That's the
circumcision.
part I have to see.
It would have to be maybe just uncircumcised tissue, right?
Yeah. I just got to see it. So I'm going to look at some point. Just
I'm sure there'll be another podcast on her reaction to looking at this.
Yeah. A shock. A podcast shock. Like that's for largest penis, 6 inches is a big deal.
If you ask me, I think the
that's
New
above the
Yorker wins.
average. That's, yeah. Yeah.
I think the New Yorker wins. It functions. It's erect. It doesn't have anything weird. It doesn't have any asterisks and stipulations attached to it. It
and
just is what it is.
13.5 erect. Well, no, I agree. Like, well, I don't know. Like, if you're 19 inches and you're not erect, and then
Again.
13 inches erect, yeah, no, it's a big difference. So I just want to look into that one, but at least it was an interesting fact to share. So if you guys have some interesting facts,
Please share.
or if you plan on entering that World Book of Records,
And you win, let us know.
and you let us know, or you have a different category, let us know. Because we're willing to deep dive into any weird
All
facts
things
related to sex. So, but thank you for listening.